we don't want to talk about political ideology.
Oh, yeah.
Most people don't check that box, and it makes sense because you don't. Most people.
I didn't know what you were gonna come out with it. So.
Yeah, what are you thinking about the Capitol riots?
Yeah. But no, I mean,
What do you think about the Capitol riot?
I'm not a fan.
Oh, this is a Capitol riot podcast.
Oh God, I gotta go.
That's what creativity theory is.
The theory is, this is the Capitol. This is us. This is also the Capitol. This is Trump. I don't know. I just didn't want to get into that. I don't know. It's kind of boring to me, but
No, I agree. I don't really care about it either.
I mean, I do care, but it's like if I just say anything, I know you're not gonna like be like fight me on it, but it's just like circular conversation. I feel like here we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm like simultaneously like intentionally moderate and intentionally apolitical. Like I understand it. I feel like I understand both sides. I don't really like picking a side. I think if you were to sit me down and walk me through different issues and ask me what I think, you might be able to get a left-leaning answer or a right-leaning answer depending on what the issue was. But otherwise, like, I don't have an affinity towards like a party or.
I mean, I'm definitely like heavily left-leaning, but I just talking about it is exhausting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was not trying to slip into
No,
it.
it's okay. It's just, it's
I was
funny.
more getting ready to talk about anything but that.
Oh, yeah. But I was just thinking about, I have a joke. Giancarlo kind of pointed this out to me because he went and saw me do comedy. And the joke is political because it talks about political things. And I clearly like delineate.
Well, that reel you posted the other day,
that's
that was
the
great.
one. Yeah, and it's like, that one, I feel like it can work in conservative places, even though I'm saying like the KKK is your people. It's like, this is your people, this is your people.
Yes.
But the fact that because they're, in their mind, they're like, LGBTQ, that's the bad guy. And it's like, they can still laugh.
Right.
But it's like
LGBTQ
and NPR. But I love NPR. I love,
Yeah.
I don't say it, though. I'm not like, I'm an NPR fan.
Well, I think that's a really important thing about being able to have a side but not make that the point of your comedy, like because I find that to be repulsive when I see it, no matter what the side is. Like a comedian going up there, I always think like being funny should be your number one priority, but some people have it where it's like, no, being funny is second to me.
Preaching is number one. I really want to be a preacher.
Yes. Yeah. I want to get an applause because this crowd agrees with me, like ideologically. That makes me cringe when I see that.
There are some Seattle comics that are very left-leaning. There's this guy, Andrew Frank, and he'll go...
I think I know him. I feel like he's come down here for a festival.
Probably. He tells me about like times he's come out and like he does like a lot of like anti-religious stuff because he was raised religious. I don't even know if he would call it anti-religious, but he talks about religion and how it's silly in some ways. And he said he would go to like conservative places and still do the same jokes. Like he's not afraid of it, and I dig that. And he said one time this lady came up to him afterwards. She's like, Satan is inside of you, and like had this very serious talk. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that? I don't want to tell the type of jokes where people are coming up to me afterwards and like, I think you might be possessed by the devil.
I find that I've come to find religion so interesting because I think back when you were around here, like, the stuff that I was doing, I was coming from a place of like pure like atheist nihilist sort of stance. Like everything was just doomed and fucked and horrible, and I was part of it and enjoying the chaos and creating chaos is what I really thrived in. But I'm not like that anymore, I don't feel. And where was I going with this? The religious element what do you feel like? What do you think about the nature of reality? Like, are you a religious or spiritual person, or?
Well, I was raised Christian, but I don't really practice Christianity. But I don't know. I feel open-minded about things. I don't know the nature of reality.
Right. Or
yeah,
you
I don't think about it too much because it scares me.
That makes sense.
Get into. I mean, as a kid, I was like the most existential, dreading person.
Yeah.
I was afraid of death, and if I think about it too hard, I'll probably be afraid of death again. And like, what am I doing with this limited time on Earth?
Yeah. Part of me feels like that, like getting so deep into these, like that almost feels somewhat like a political conversation, but not as adversarial. It just kind of feels like, you know, you're talking with someone about this unexplainable thing. It's like literally you're talking about that which is designed to transcend words. And when you try to use words anyway to try to explain it, it feels really frustrating.
Yeah, and my brain like wants to shy away from it.
Yeah. Well, you checked the box that you would want to.
No, it's good. I don't know what I think about things sometimes because I don't interrogate myself that much, I guess.
So it's more just avoid the overly complicated.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly, I feel like that would benefit me if I was like that. I kind of feel like that's a lot of the purpose of like really simple-minded fundamentalist interpretations of religion.
It's to avoid like messiness.
Right. It's almost seems better to have like a blind faith to even like a cartoonishly fake religion than it is to get all philosophical and try to break apart the metaphysics of reality. And
there's something, I don't know, we were talking about in therapy, which is like holding two ideas at once. I forget what you call it. But I think I'm just like supernaturally good at that stuff. Is like I don't have to know the answer. I don't know. Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with like what I was saying. My stance is politically is like I can hold both political stances at the same time and see like they both have a point. They're both kind of right. They're both wrong and they're right.
Yeah.
And they can both exist at the same time, and the existence of them both are necessary. I think that's just the nature of the duality or the seeming duality of reality.
I guess I just, for political things, I have my values that are like, I don't know. One side definitely crosses those values that I would not stand with them. So.
Right. Well, I find that interesting that like the view from the, I guess more spiritual side of things, like you have that view about, you know, the coexistence of opposites.
But I feel like, spiritually, I don't know. I feel like you're not hurting people with your opinion about existence.
Maybe, but also I feel like there are certain fundamental, like, I think that the religious and spiritual is like a prerequisite to the political. And in fact, I actually kind of developed this
circle right here.
Yeah.
This is the capital.
Yep, that's the capital.
Here's the afterlife.
Well, I almost feel like because, you know, obviously it's way more complicated than, you know, liberals are one way and conservatives are another. When you dig down into individuals, it gets very nuanced, and there's, you know, some very stupid conservatives and very stupid liberals and very intelligent conservatives and very intelligent liberals and, you know, anything in between, all that. But if we were to simplify and stereotype, it kind of is the conservatives are the, at least when we're talking about America, the conservatives are the more religious types, right? And they're probably a little more conscientious, organized, orderly, where the left, they're kind of the more a-religious type. They might be spiritual, more like abstractly pulling from different religions like Buddhism. A lot of liberals like Buddhist and meditative principles and that kind of thing. They're a little less organized, but more creative and more thinking forward about, like, you know, progressing things forward. And the whole balance between the two is liberals move us forward and give us new and better ideas, but the conservatives slow that process down so that it's manageable and that we don't jump too far to things that maybe aren't great ideas, and maybe slow us down where they do have some good ideas. It's just not, the conservatives are being stubborn. So in that, with the whole more religious side and the less religious side, I do feel like there's this split of, like I was saying, the religious beliefs being a prerequisite to how you behave politically is, I think a lot of the political beliefs have to do with some sort of like stringent organized religion things that get people to think a certain way and behave a certain way, and even like when they're lost or doing things wrong, they look to a book that is religious in nature and designed, because science is really about what things are, but religion's more about how to be. And I think that there's a loss in abandoning religion, where the way human mind and psychology works is, even if you do not believe in God, you do have a God concept, and it's your highest value. So if you are someone that is intentionally atheistic, but you're very politically engaged, your political ideology is going to be your God. And you might not know that or admit to it, but if that does so happen to be the thing that you hold the highest, like that's how I operate. That's how I treat people. It's based on what I think politically. And so I think that there is something that we do see, particularly through the Trump era, where there is like a zero tolerance on the left towards the right, like being like, fuck my neighbor. He believes in some like radical bullshit, storm the Capitol ideology. I'm unfriending him on Facebook. I don't want to see that shit. Where the right, it's like, yeah, you might be a dumb liberal, but you are my neighbor. So, and I do have this book that tells me I should love that neighbor. So I'm going to keep you as my friend on Facebook, So that to me, but I understand what you're saying too about like choosing the side that seems to be more empathetic politically. And again,
but there are people, like you're saying, that are not empathetic within that side. It's just,
of course. Yeah. When you get down to the individuals, it gets really nuanced, but sorry for talking about the thing, the one box you I just wanted to say all that out loud.
Yeah. A college essay you've been writing.
Yeah. I wish I articulated all that better. It was really messy.
No, it's good.